Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Editorial Analysis. In this session, we'll try to understand the important editorial from the Hindu as well as from the Indian Express. तो समझने की कोशिश करेंगे जो important editorial है वो आपके एग्जाम्स में prelims और मेंस एग्जामिनेशन में कैसे हेल्पफुल हो सकती है. So before I begin, I would like to inform that I'll be also discussing some of the important MCQs. So this will be helpful for civil services prelims examination or other state PCS examinations के लिए. So this would be an MCQs, right? And we have also mock test series for the prelims examination, and we are also offering an answer writing challenge. So both of the initiatives is very good, and this is a paid initiative where you can avail this course online and offline, and this is a free one, right? So the link for both of these are there in the description. Do check the description for this. Now beginning with the Hindu editorial first. So the first editorial talked about the lynching source of the new India. See, the issues of lynching has been a long important once the government, before that only from 2019 or 18 onwards, this has become very important. So before I give you the exact picture, the other content of this, I'll tell you what exactly we'll be discussing. We'll be discussing this editorial first, this the second, and we'll be not discussing this one. This is not that important. This is also not that important for the examination point of view, and we'll be discussing the wider food menu. Okay, so this three will be discussed by us. So before I start, I'll tell you the exact what I'll be doing. Like I'll be giving an in-depth analysis on this particular editorial. So what we do in every day, we have an in-depth analysis. So a topic for in-depth analysis would be this. Before in-depth analysis is started, I'll give you the glimpse of what exactly is there in the Hindu. So first is like, this is important for your general studies paper 2, where government policies and intervention functions and responsibilities of union and state is concerned. So this talks about the issues of word lynching. Basically mob lynching was an issue which was a big serious concern for the country like India, and it has taken taken like a spread of fire. So बहुत ही तेजी से ये पूरे इंडिया में, talking about the brutality of the people from the Muslim community, be it any communities, the lynching is again a great concern for India. So ये चीज़ें यहाँ पे discuss है, and also the major part, the crux of this editorial is the denial, the denial method by the government. So the government has not made a, despite some of the state like Rajasthan has made a bill for mob lynching. So as you remember that Rajasthan has made a bill. So this again can be important for you. They can ask you which other state has already formulated a bill which penalize the mob lynching in India. Okay, and in this particular editorial, it concerns about the denial mode of the government of India that it has been taken. Fine. So this is what is being there, and the ideological differences between the other parties, and basically the BJP is being the more or less is the ideological to the Bharati, basically they are the more of the RSS origin. So their ideas and the BJP ideas is what is being discussed in this editorial. So this is by Harish Mandar. You can read this, you can extract some of the important points. It also talks about the important connection that to be made to curb the issues of mob lynching, because in the recent example you have seen the states like West Bengal, okay, the state like Chhattisgarh, a state like Jharkhand. So these have they all state have witnessed serious issues of mob lynching, where the individual was about in the situation to die, and many of the people have died as well. So these states need a special attention, and in context of that, the Rajasthan, what they have done, Rajasthan has already formulated a bill. Okay, so you can have a correlation of both of this, and question can be asked, example as in case study, they can ask you what would be your role as in superintendent of police, as in district magistrate, what will you be doing? Okay, so this can also be important as in case study. Fine. Other important editorial of the Hindu. So the second is for a wider food menu. Okay, so this is again a very important one, and for this what I'll tell you, this can be important for your general studies paper 2, right? And the subtopic would be the government policy to curb poverty and malnutrition. Fine. So in this editorial, it talks about the prime minister's vision to curb the basically he's more of interested that the people who are malnourished, the Poshan Abhiyan, which is there, the government flagship initiative called Poshan Abhiyan. Okay, so this is the prime which is being discussed in this. So it talks about the Poshan Abhiyan. So we'll be also discussing what exactly they see the issues when it's come to the nutrition, to improve the nutrition of the children, adolescents and the pregnant women. So India is facing the grading which we are having is not very good. And talking about the lactating mother, the other policies that need to be amalgamated with this policy should be there. This is what is being discussed in the editorial. Fine. And the key nutritional intervention would be to contribute from the every corner, be it government sector, private sector. There need to be a participation to complete this. And World Health Assemblies for the nutrition and sustainable development goal is also there to provide the zero hunger to the entire nation. Okay, zero hunger. So this is the SDG goal as well. So this again can be important for you. As you write in the mains examination, you definitely need to mention that this is an SDG goals, the sustainable development goal. Fine. So it also talks about the World Foods Day that is being celebrated today, that is 16th of October. We are celebrating the World Food Day. Okay, so this is in that context basically. So it's called World Food Day. Fine. So the pattern of the consumption in India is very not the talking about the other people. Basically, some of them are only feeding rice, some of them are only feeding on the vegetables. So the proper balanced diet food which is being required is not adequately served by the people from the poor class. Okay, and the agriculture biodiversity. Talking about the agriculture biodiversity, we need to improve on that as well, because only growing rice and wheat is not feasible for the country like India. So these are some of the important measures that has been taken, and basically it talks about the health diets and the healthy planet. Fine. So this is what is being discussed in this editorial. Now moving ahead. So what is there in the editorial from the Indian Express? I'll give you the glimpse, then we'll proceed to the analysis, the deep analysis on that. So the first is government calling to the SC shots. So see, in this editorial, basically the concern is about the collegium system of the Supreme Court. So basically the Mother B. Lokur, he talks about, despite the fact that we do not have NJAC. Okay, I'll tell you what exactly is there in depth. So he talks about we do not have NJAC, but still this is operational. And this topic can be important for your general studies paper 2, with the appointment of various constitutional post, power, function, responsibility, and various constitutional bodies are concerned, right? So it talks about the occurrence of NJAC in the present context, and the issues of, as an example is said, like Akhil Khuresi, he is the senior most judge of the Gujarat High Court. Okay, the senior most judge of the Gujarat High Court, and he has been transferred to Chief Justice as a Madras High Court. And despite the fact that the collegium has, they have asked him to be transferred as Tripura High Court, but government has struck down it, and they rather converted it to the Madhya Pradesh, say MP. So this is what is being discussed, the existence of the collegium system. And I tell you, collegium system is always important, because UPSC ने अभी तक कॉलेजियम में एक आध सवाल वैसे पूछे मेंस में, but again when it's come to the collegium for the mains examination, it can be very relevant, right? And you must be aware that the collegium system comprises of CGI as an ex officio chairman. Okay, and there's the two ex officio, there are the two other senior most judges, okay, Supreme Court judges, and also the Minister of Law and Justice, the Minister of Law and Justice as a member, and two other eminent member was required, but this is now no more, it is struck down. Fine. So it talks about the entire provision of the NJAC and its validity, that's still valid in the present context. So he said that intentionally we do not want an NJAC because the occurrence, the decision that is taken on the judiciary part is somewhere aligned with the parameter of the National Judicial Appointment Commission. Fine. So this is there. Now moving ahead, the other editorial talks about the people economist. So this again can be important for the general studies paper 3, where the important, it can be also important for the achievement of the science and technology, indigenous technology and development. See, this talks about basically the issues of the Nobel laureate Amitabh Banerjee, where he worked hard to augment the poverty issue. Basically, the prize which he won was approach to elevate poverty and hunger. Okay, globally elevating the poverty, and he works for the MIT. He is working in the MIT called Massachusetts Institute of Technology in the US. Massachusetts. So basically it discusses what exactly could be there, the consumption pattern could be there, and how India could achieve despite the fact that the economic slowdown is at the lowest. Because recently also IMF has forecasted, in the today's newspaper you must have read that the forecast is somewhere between 6 to 1%, 6.1%, and the fact lies that it was anticipated to be growing at 7.3%. Fine. So abhi we are lacking behind, हमें बहुत अचीवमेंट करने की ज़रूरत है. तो उसी कंसर्न में दी गई है. शी हैज़ शेयर्ड हर the Shobhuni Mukherjee, she has shared her personal experiences about what exactly can be done. She has shared as a young research scholar what she used to do, and about the poverty issues, it again are very important for India. Fine. So this is what is being discussed, the issues of the Nirmala Sitharaman. Okay, because the economic slowdown with this country, government is cutting the tax rate also. Fine. So here the scholar ideas that need to be achieved when it's come to the bottom line of the people. Fine. So this is what is being discussed in this editorial. Now we'll move ahead, and this is also an important one. This can be important for your general studies paper too. A need to democratize the science. So this can be important for the disaster management, okay, and its management when it's come to this paper. And it discusses that the as a developing country, India faces many challenges regarding the flood. Okay, flood is a big challenge to India, and other droughts, the other natural calamities called NC. The natural calamity is a great danger for India, and cities, they have been all using the biodegradables. They're talking about the Ganpati idols, and these are somewhere they're deteriorating the quality of the environment, the quality of the river basin also. So the entire editorial concern about this as well, and what could be the regulatory measures, okay, what India can do. So we need to have a democratic sense of ideas with concerns to the scientific approach when it's come to the feasibility of that. Fine. So this is what is being discussed in this editorial. Thodi data is driven hai, this part, so you can leave this part. This is not that important. You can just extract the important point, because here it discusses that the Department of Science and Technology called DST, so they have established SSTC. This is stand for State Science and Technological Councils. Okay, then UPSC can ask you from this prelims examination calls. Okay, प्रीलिम्स में भी आप सवाल पूछ सकते हैं कि SSTC होता क्या है. फाइन. तो ये इस्टेब्लिश करने की बात है, एंड इट्स मोर लाइक मेकिंग पीपल मोर अवेयर अबाउट द थिंग. ओके, इट्स मोर अबाउट प्रिवेलिंग द अवेयरनेस. Fine. So this is what is being discussed in this editorial. You can read, you can extract some of the important further point that you find relevant for the examination. Now we'll move into the in-depth analysis. That is a cost-effective way to power generation. This is what the entire the title of our editorial is. So we'll discuss this part. So what exactly is being discussed is with economic and see, I'll tell you what exactly where we are discussing, because you do not tend to get confused. We are discussing this editorial from the Hindu. Okay, so from the Hindu we are discussing this one. This can be see this one. This we are discussing. Okay, fine. In-depth analysis about the cost-effective and way to the power generation. So a glimpse fastly I'll move. So yeah, this is what I'm discussing, the cost-effective way to power generation. Fine. So with growth of the economy, it is being told that the demand for power generation in India is going to increase. Okay, it is increasing, and definitely it will increase over the time. Now, to address this entire issues, we need to understand what is the present scenario, what is the present context. See, India potentially has expanded in the power generation in the recent time, and talking about the present installed capacity, we have somewhere 358 gigawatts. Okay, don't confuse between megawatts and the gigawatts. So this is something 358 gigawatts, and this is 4 times watts we have in 1997 to 1998. So almost in 2 decades हमने अपने जो कैपेसिटी है उसको डबल कर लिया है. फाइन. और अगर मैं डेली बेसिस पे बात करूं तो ऑलमोस्ट वी आर गेटिंग समवेयर 75 मेगावाट्स. ओके, मेगावाट्स की जो हमारी इंक्रीजमेंट हो रही है डेली बेसिस पे. And talking about the renewable capacity, so this is the total installed capacity of the power. And if we talk about the renewable capacity, तो यहाँ पे जो हमारी target है, that is somewhere 175 gigawatts by 2020. Okay, this is the target. And for 2030 the target would be 500 gigawatts from the renewable sources. So solar and wind again become very important. These two power plants become very important to achieve the target. And talking about the country like China, they have already, they are equal to the third of the India total installed capacity in 2018. They are 3 times of that. So definitely China is moving ahead. We are not chasing to compete China, but what we're trying to augment in each and every sectors of the renewable energy. Fine. Now moving ahead, the private sector engagement is very important. That is what is being discussed in this editorial. So the major growth drivers can be coming from the renewable energy, and at the same time the investment from the private sectors in terms of solar and wind power can be very crucial. Fine. And private sector account for almost half of the installed power generation in the country, in the nation. And for the last 2 decades, the growth of the generation of the renewable has been close to 25%. This is the growth which we have witnessing with the engagement of the private sector. Now moving ahead, what exactly is the project size? See, the thermal power capacity is almost 2/3. The largest contributor, I will say, the thermal power is a 2/3, and this shows the increasing awareness about the environment impact that is being made by the fossil fuels. Okay, so this is there. I'll give you the graph exactly what is there. See, the total power, power plants and capacity and average. Talking about the thermal is 741 megawatt, solar is 39, wind is 44, hydel is 112. And the average cost, you don't need to remember this cost, this would be not that important for you. Now comparing the public and private partner costing, okay, in thermal the average cost would be somewhere 721, the private has invested 741. In solar it is 82, and the private is 37. For wind it is 36, and here it is 46. So almost you can see the private players are contributing from a large extent. They can potentially make this sector more feasible, more getting enhanced and enlarged. So this is what the motive is. Now moving ahead, the project ownership. Talking about the ownership of the project, in last 2 decades what is being observed, that 63% of the total project, 63% of the total project that was the plan for generation has the capacity that has come from the private players. Okay, private players play a crucial role here. And talking about the private investment that was pronounced in the renewable energy, so 90% investment was basically in the wind and solar projects. Fine. Now moving ahead, how to achieve this target? I mean, definitely it would be you need to have a very feasible and practical approach to achieve the target. So first, talking about the thermal power plant, so they need to have a large, and therefore the capacity can be increased by constructing a fewer of such plant. We need to construct such plant on a smaller basis, on an average, like taking about the 18 solar or wind projects that can generate the same quantity as a one thermal power plant. Fine. And talking about the capacity of the power plant increases, the average cost can also reduce. Okay, so here can be the cost reduction as well. And the average cost of per megawatt of the thermal power plant has been, in the present context, it has lower somewhere 25% from the from the other plant. Okay, for the thermal power plant is about 25% less than the solar plant. So this is more cheap. Fine. And what are the advantage of players? Because if we have the private players in the action, what they can do, how they can help. See what they are doing, that the average cost है that is being reduced from 12 to 34%. Okay, इतना reduction इसमें देख सकते हो. और जो lower capacity होने का मतलब क्या है, जो electric tariffs हैं that is being consumed by the we as an immediate consumer, we get the relief there. Fine. और जो electric tariff है वो बेसिकली 2 कंपोनेंट्स होते हैं उसके, दैट इज द फिक्स्ड कैपेसिटी कॉस्ट एंड द ऑपरेशनल मेंटेनेंस कॉस्ट. सो डेफिनेटली दीज इंक्लूड द फ्यूल एक्सपेंसेस ऑल्सो. और अगर जनरल कैपेसिटी की बात करो, दैट अकाउंट्स फॉर 90% ऑफ द लेविड ऑफ द कॉस्ट ऑफ द इलेक्ट्रिसिटी. फाइन. और जो प्राइवेट इन्वेस्टमेंट है फ्रॉम द प्राइवेट बेसिकली इन द पावर सेक्टर्स, दैट हैज हेल्प इन ऑगमेंटिंग द कैपेसिटी and lowering the cost. So you can see the advantage of the private players. If UPSC can ask you how a private player can gonna help for the generation of the solar powers and other augmenting the energy for the India. So you can use these points, right? Now moving ahead, this is also a chart which I wanted to discuss. See, reducing the cost of power, how that has reduced because of the private players. Talking about the thermal power plant, see, it was before it was like 8.8, and capacity after it was 13, it is 6.6. So you can see the decrease in the average cost. Okay, these data for your reference you can check, but it's not that important from the exam point of view. I had just to get a fair idea what exactly is there, so I've given you this. Okay, you can pause this video and you can have a look on this. Now moving ahead, the marginal capacity cost is also very important in terms of generation of the growing of the cost of the installed capacity that has fallen. Fine. And the reason why marginal cost can be beneficial would be advancement in the technology, fine, that has resulted in the construction of large power plants, and increasing the share of private sector in the investment has also led to the fall in the capacity and the price of that. Fine. And the share of the private sector capacity has increased to 70% compared to the 46% in the last decade. So this is the number of the increase, and it is now 70%. Now the private sector can also, it has helped in lowering the cost of the marginal cost of the capacity. Fine. Now moving ahead, what would be the way forward for this? How other things can be done apart from the plant player? See, the focus would be on the developing more and more solar and wind power to achieve the target, and it is imperative for the government to create a generation asset at the lower unit cost. Ultimately the consumer, we need to consume that, so definitely the consumer need to be at have a lowest cost. वहाँ पे उनको प्राइस बहुत ज़्यादा देने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. So it should be the government initiative that the lowest unit cost should be provided to the people, and optimizing the capacity that would encourage the private sector investment. Again, only their participation can help in getting the reduced tariffs. Fine. And they need to have a measure that regulate the marginal cost of capacity. So as I discussed, this again can be very important, which ultimately will lead to the reduce in the tariffs. Fine. So this was the way forward from this editorial. Now moving ahead, I'll discuss some of the important questions from the day. But before I begin, I would like to tell you that we have a Apti Plus official Telegram channel where you can get the important notification PDF of the examination. And do not forget to like, share and subscribe our YouTube channel as well. Fine. So the important question from the current affair, which of the following publishes the Habitat Commitment Index? Okay. So Habitat Commitment Index is published by which among the following is the UN Habitat, United Nations Population Fund, World Trade Organization, or International Monetary Fund. So do participate, write the correct answer on the comment section of this video. Fine. Now the second question is previous year question. This is a PYQ. So this is from Indian culture. So with reference to the culture of India, the term Panchayatan refers to what? It's an assembly of the village and elders. It's a religious sect, a style of the temple construction, or administrative functionary. So whatever you feel is the correct answer, do participate. And if you don't want, you can refer to the description of this video. और अभी तक हमने जो डिस्कस किया है इसकी सारी डिटेल आपको डिस्क्रिप्शन में एज एन नोट्स भी मिल जाएगी. फाइन. So this was there from the today's editorial analysis, and I sincerely thank you for listening this video. If you have any other concern, do let us know. I'll be more than happy to help you out. We'll meet in the next video with some of the important relevant editorial that will be helpful for the examination. Thank you so much for listening.